to come on here live today to talk to you about something that has just been so present for me over the last few weeks as I've been taking some time to really integrate actually and process a lot of the learnings that have come to me through creating my spiritual business, through growing my YouTube channel, and through really becoming a different person entirely from the person I was 5 years ago when I decided that my life had to stop and that I wanted to pursue a different spiritual path altogether. Because on this journey, I have felt at times so restless and so compelled to keep on chasing the next thing, the next mentor, the next tool, the next method, the next certification, the next training, the next masterclass. And it wasn't always because I needed that thing. Sometimes it was just simply because I was bracing against reality. I wasn't able to be in the present moment because sometimes it's just so much harder to stop and integrate and reflect on what we already have than it is to just consume more and more information. But because I noticed this pattern was creating a lot of disharmony in my field, in my body, I really decided to stop, to take a pause and to spend some time reflecting on what is already here. And I realized that there were lots of different ways in which constantly chasing growth was actually preventing me from receiving and being in the frequency of abundance. So the first way I was really preventing that access to abundance was really in feeling like I just was experiencing shiny object syndrome, right? And actually shiny object syndrome is a term that I had not come across until quite recently, but it describes this need that we often have, or feeling. It's not really a need, it's a feeling that we want the next thing, the next idea, the next concept, the next tool, the next mentor, the next, I don't know, could be a material object. And that, you know, maybe this is the thing. Maybe this is going to unlock my real success. Maybe this is going to be the one that brings the real abundance to me. Maybe this is going to be the magic bullet that solves everything for me, right? And when I started to research, okay, what is this shiny object syndrome? I feel it, I recognize it, but where does it actually come from? There were lots of different, causes for it, if you like. So things like lack of focus, lack of discipline, that can create shiny object syndrome, where it's easier to just like go to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing rather than stay where you are and concentrate on all your energy and attention on the present, right? And then fear of missing out, FOMO, just being like, oh my goodness, everybody's learning human design. Why aren't I learning human design? Whatever it is, you know what I mean? And then it can be because you haven't really got clear goals. Maybe you just don't know where you're going, so it's harder to stay focused and present with one path and one direction. Or maybe it's low self-esteem, right? Maybe it's like you just don't feel good enough, you don't feel qualified enough, you don't feel ready for where you're going. Hi, Elle. So you keep going to the next thing and the next thing. Elle, I think we can become at risk of becoming spiritual knowledge junkies without allowing the knowledge to be absorbed and integrated before moving on to the next course, etc. Elle, oh my God, yes, exactly. That's the whole message of why I wanted to speak to you today, because this is what I feel as well. Sometimes we're just moving at that surface level from one thing to the other, and we're not integrating what is the actual wisdom in this. What is the deeper transformation that you get to call forward because of what you've learned? And this is what I'm realizing. in this restlessness, there really is a massive gift. And the gift is in the way that we turn the restlessness into curiosity in such a way as to, hi there, Irene, as to transmute it, to transform it, to bring it forward into the world and as a gift for other people, right? That is the real gift of what's perceived as restlessness. So I often feel like we blame ourselves for the conditions that we express. So when I'm reading about this shiny object syndrome, I can see the problems in it, and yet when we label it as that, are we not in some way crystallizing it or consolidating it? Because what I think is, what if we reframe shiny object syndrome as, hey Irene, oh yes, just relax, we are all we need to be. Exactly. We reframe shiny object syndrome as just a sacred thirst for knowledge, but we get to discern when it's restlessness, when it's an inability to be okay with the present moment, to relax, as Irene says, and when is it that we are just curious about experiencing different things so that we can then transmute them, communicate them, share them as our own integrated wisdom and lived experience, because they're very, very different things. And so, I just decided basically, I know that part of my own design and blueprint is to be curious about lots of different things. There are some people who are much more likely to just have that deep dive presence into one topic, and that's amazing, but that's not how I'm designed. And so I decided to basically stop shaming myself for having shiny object syndrome and actually look for the gift within it. And at the same time, allow myself that time for rest, for integration, for deepening my presence. And actually, when I did stop, oh my goodness, I really learned so much when I realized that actually overconsumption is hurting me right now. And I took some time to say, okay, what are all the things that I have experienced? What have I learned from those moments? Is there something that wants to come forward now without me going to the next course, the next certification, the next container? So many different things started to happen for me. One of them, which was very interesting, was that actually growth in terms of the business didn't really slow down. I stopped continuing to chase growth, and yet I would still be having emails most days, new sales calls being booked in, clarity calls, potential coaching clients, bookings. And I know it's a truism that sometimes you hustle less and you get more, but it was really nice to be able to see that. And I wouldn't have been able to see that if I'd have constantly been still in the hustle and the chasing and all of that sort of thing. Also, the connection with intuition, the ability to download and to process information, and actually to start accessing my own intellectual property, as it were, that exponentially shot up when I stopped over consuming and constantly chasing the next thing. And I also had to be honest, take responsibility. Like, it's up to me now to do the damn thing, to decide I know enough, I've learned enough, I can now become the channel, the vehicle for the experiences rather than only the student. I'm always going to be a student of life. I feel like it's such a blessing to be able to learn all the time and to grow and to study. But there has to come a point as well where we just declare ourselves to be ready. to start sharing that really from the depths of our soul, you know, and to accept that this is not always about more consumption. So the other thing is I wasn't honoring my own growth. I don't know about you, but the person I was 5 years ago is almost unrecognizable. Let me see this lovely comment from Elle. Knowledge is powerful, but when knowledge creates noise, we can't hear our intuition so clearly. We need the pause to hear and listen to our higher self. Yes, exactly. You know what I was ending up doing? I was going to sleep every night with my earbuds in, learning, like feeling as if I've got to just still be learning all the time. So what I'll do is I'll try and learn while I'm falling asleep. No, you know, that is an illusion. That was a mistake. And when I started to counsel myself to go to sleep in peace and quiet and possibly take my journal and reflect on what happened during the day, my sleep was 1,000 times more peaceful. I realized things and truths, and I could remember my dreams, and I felt so much more connected to myself and my intuition, you know, and it came from a place of not feeling like I knew enough, not feeling like I, you know, that I'd done enough. And it's very, very helpful. I called it intermittent phone fasting because I just decided I was going to turn my phone off at 8 p.m. and then not turn it on until after 8 a.m. and it really refreshed my being so deeply. So anyway, I wasn't honoring my growth, right? I was not recognizing and celebrating the absolutely huge transformation that I'd gone through since I quit my job and started my business. I had transformed unrecognizably, you know, but I wasn't actually pausing long enough to notice that. And I just wonder, you know, are you doing that? Are you in that new level, new devil energy where you're moving the goalposts before you've even celebrated yourself and your wins and how much you've changed? You know, you keep climbing up and up and up, but you don't actually stop to celebrate and applaud yourself for how far you've come. So it's like, you know, what are you proud of? What have been the biggest transformations? What's shifted for you that you haven't really fully acknowledged? Because I bet you anything, if you're watching this, you've had already a huge transformation, you know. Maybe you're just proud of yourself for choosing the timeline of love as opposed to the timeline of fear. That in itself is massive, because did you see the world in that way 5 years ago? Did you even recognize that as a fork in the road? Did you recognize yourself as somebody that's contributing to the upliftment of humanity in the way that you now are? You know? So we do ourselves a disservice if we don't let ourselves feel how much we've already grown, right? Because that really is abundance as well. So that was another thing. The other part of it was really just honestly getting lost in too many different opinions. Have you ever been in that situation where there's so many different mentors and guides and strategies that you're listening to that is just like you can't align yourself with any one of them because there's so many at the same time? I was really feeling that. And again, whilst it's in my nature to explore lots of different avenues, but I realise I really have to, again, exercise discernment here. And what I've started to do is I let myself be excited about a million different things, but I also have this kind of persistence litmus test. So I check in with myself. Does this still feel exciting, you know, after a few days, after a few weeks? Does the teacher still resonate after that period of time? Then I know, is it just like a passing infatuation? Or is this something that I actually feel really good about investing my energy in and my time? Like for me at the moment, I know that I'm feeling very called towards human design and the gene keys. And there's a big part of me resisting it because I'm like, another system, another way of interpreting the world. I don't know if I can take it, but it's persistent. It's staying with me over quite a long period of time, and I'm really feeling the way in which it will allow me to recognize how individual we all are and how our own, but I mean, I'm an embodied abundance mentor, right? That's my jam. But I'm realizing everybody's blueprint is so unique and so different. We're not all here to experience abundance in the same way because we're not all designed the same way. So I have the persistence litmus test. I check, does it still resonate after a few days, a few weeks? If not, just let it go. If yes, explore going deeper. But don't explore going deep. I'm not exploring going deeper just to satisfy the restlessness. I'm exploring going deeper because I feel like there's a potential in what I'm exploring to contribute, to be transmuted, to be alchemized, to turn into the knowledge and wisdom that I get to share here with my audience, in my coaching and all that sort of thing. So, I kind of wanted to just share what has been going on with me and really emphasize again that if you feel this restlessness of the shiny object syndrome, where you just get so magnetized to a million different things and you're feeling bad about it, that we're not really here to shame our curiosity. We're actually here to see it as the sacred thirst for knowledge, to build our discernment, to build our capacity to tell the difference between when it's, when it's bracing yourself against reality versus when it's part of your sacred journey, part of your medicine wheel, part of your path. So Irene, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you. And I will be posting my next video, long form video, on Friday. And yeah, I loved talking to you today. Thank you so much for being here. Wishing you all the very, very best. And sunflower, oh, lovely. Yeah, have a wonderful day. Enjoy the reframe of the shiny object syndrome. I'll see you soon. So much love. Bye, everybody.